RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com for plenty more Royal Caribbean news, information, fun advice. RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you for joining us here. We are live every Monday talking Royal Caribbean with all of you. So please come join us for it. Let's sit down, relax, and enjoy some great Royal Caribbean discussions, answering your cruise questions, starting with the most important question. How many days till your next Royal Caribbean cruise? Have your countdown in chat. We'll count down together. I have got just 6 more days until the Royal Caribbean Blog group cruise on Wonder of the Seas. I can't wait. I am so excited for this. I was just on Wonder of the Seas yesterday for a quick 2-night sailing, and I got to tell you, the ship is still amazing. Can't wait to get back on board. Super, super excited. We had some super chats before we got started today. Starting off with Peter Vossenberg, excuse me. Peter, thank you for the super chat. 6 and a wake up for Mariner of the Seas. Plenty of sailways during my 6 years in the Navy. The bow was my favorite spot. Finally, cruise now. Is the bow open on Mariner of the Seas? Thank you for your help. Peter, first of all, thank you for your service in the Navy. I appreciate that. I think we all appreciate that. And number 2, yes, the helipad, the bow, is available to go to on Mariner of the Seas. One of my favorite secrets on Mariner of the Seas, so definitely worthwhile doing. No question about that. And Whipple with a super chat. Lemon character moving in excitement. I understand that moving with excitement. I am ready for it. It is awesome. So awesome. Excited. Oh, can't wait. And wants to know also, do we have to pay gratuities on our drink vouchers? And the answer is no. When you buy a drink, whether you pay individually for the drink or you have a drink package, gratuity is part of that. Some people do elect to tip on top of that, but that's at your discretion. But don't feel like you're shorting anybody if you don't tip on top of that. Texas Mad Hatter, thank you for the super chat. First cruise in April 2023 on Wonder. Should we buy our boys for $6.09 a beverage package? No, you don't need to. You'll have plenty of complimentary drinks on board. I think a beverage package would be overkill for your kids. I mean, unless your kids drink like, 5 or 6 sodas a day, or more to the point, do you want your kids to drink 5 or 6 sodas a day? It is not worthwhile. You can purchase your boys drinks individually, meaning you'll just be charged for each drink rather than a drink package. I think not only is that more economical, I mean, obviously they're not my kids. I'm not here to tell you how to parent. But for my children, that's just too many drinks, and I don't find that's prudent. So, no, there you go. Let's see here. Connor wants to know, why does Royal Caribbean want to know what state you're from when booking a reservation? What does that have to do with? Good question, Connor. There are actually residency discounts. So from time to time, there has to be a discount if you're from a certain state, and that is why. So we have some amazing super. Holy moly, Josh Carruthers with an epic super chat. 6 more days. Woo! It's the final countdown. It's the final countdown. 6 more days till the Royal Caribbean Blog group cruise on Wonder of the Seas. Josh, my dude, thank you so much for your generosity, Josh. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see here. We've got a lot of great countdowns coming up here. Love it. Carol just got off of Allure of the Seas on Sunday. Michael says, wasn't the schedule for Caribbean 2024 supposed to open today? No, it was supposed to open this week. You look at the deployment schedule, it's the week of December 12th. So it's at any point this week, Michael. And typically we see the new deployments come out around Wednesday or so, maybe Thursday, earliest Tuesday. But no, it wasn't necessarily this week. Today, it says week of, which means at any point during this week, it could be released. So hope that makes sense. Let's see. Next question. Megan wants to know, any updates on testing of the main dining room menus? Yes, Megan. All the news is at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. I posted it this morning, but the new menus will go live in the month of January. So I spoke with not only Royal Caribbean CEO Michael Bailey, but also with Lincoln D'Souza, who's the vice president of food and beverage. And the new menus will begin in January. It's not going to be like snap your fingers January 1. They're all there. It'll be a process. But the goal is by early February for all the ships in the fleet to have the new menus on operational. If you want to see all the details, Megan, anybody else interested, it's on the homepage of RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Yeah, a lot of news today. There was that thing, which is still a big deal, and also a change to the Diamond Plus benefits. I would argue a minor change, but some other people might take umbrage with that. Well, I'm sure that'll come up in the discussion here. Mike Wolf, thank you for the super chat. Wolf's in the house, 154 days till Alaska. Nice. I do love me some Alaska cruises. It's going to be awesome. Scott, 6 more days till the group cruise. We all get to see Matt, Tony Diaz. Yeah, we're all excited to see Tony. Definitely look for Tony Diaz. He's going to really want everybody to say hello to him. So make sure you're very, very good there. Oh, no, Sharon, you tested positive for COVID today. I'm so sorry. Well, I hope that the symptoms are mild and it passes quickly. It's not fun out there, but yeah, I'm so sorry, Sharon. But I'm glad you're here. At least I can hopefully provide some entertainment for you, or at least whatever this is for the next hour. Chris, thank you for the super chat. Woo! 188 days till our 7-year-old's first cruise. What Nassau excursions do you recommend for a 7-year-old who isn't into water parks? Ooh, Blue Lagoon is a great excursion through Royal Caribbean. I would recommend that. So you can book it through Royal. There's a couple different variations of Blue Lagoon. So Blue Lagoon in itself is a private island that operates. You take a little ferry over there, and there's a lot of beaches. But you can also add on to that. There are animal encounters. I mean, I think maybe that might be a really fun thing for your 7-year-old, whether it's dolphins or sharks or sea lions. I forget exactly all the animals they have there, but it's some fun stuff. So that might be a really, really good opportunity for you. After Hours Magic wants to know, what's the earliest time I can board the ship? This is a two-part question, two-part answer to your question. Number one, you have your check-in time. So before your cruise, 45 days before your cruise, you'll have the opportunity to get a check-in time. This is the time that Royal Caribbean wants you to come to the cruise terminal. Typically, the earliest check-in times are somewhere in the 10 o'clock hour. Generally speaking, and again, this is a generalization, we're talking about 10:30 a.m. or so. Have I seen earlier? Yes, but mostly 10:30 and around 11 o'clock, right? That's the check-in time, not your boarding time. But that's at least when they'll let you in the terminal, start processing you, get your all information, all that stuff. The actual boarding time depends on a lot of factors that no one knows in advance because, number one, they have to get every single passenger from the last sailing off the first sailing. Sounds like an easy task until you remember that people are people. And there's a variety of reasons why this can take longer than you might imagine. Generally not a problem, but occasionally there's somebody who's got a billing issue or I don't know what. That can take a while. Also, the local authorities, the Coast Guard, needs to clear the ship. So there's a bit of a process there. But generally speaking, if everything goes to plan, boarding is usually begun somewhere right around 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. But again, it really depends. So I need to make that crystal clear there. Andrew wants to know, best things to do in Alaska with the kids. I would say I love the parks. I think my kids absolutely love the parks, like Mendenhall Glacier Park. I don't know how old your kids are, Andrew, but also the dog sled excursion. We get to meet the dogs is really fun. They really like. There's puppies involved. It's hard to go wrong with puppies. So some really, really good options over there. Let's see here. Tim Gallagher. Yeah, curious about how many are sailing on the winter group cruise. We're just shy of 90 people, which is awesome. Love that. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Mark, where can I get the Kennewick sandwich on Navigator? You can't. There's no Park Cafe, Mark, so you're not going to get it on board. I'm sorry. Bad news there. R Gravy, thank you for the super chat. Will the crew know that we already prepaid tips? Yes. How safe is Royal Tots program for infant babysitting? Extremely safe. I've trusted both my kids to them. They turned out reasonably well. I wouldn't hesitate at all, R Gravy, to drop your kids off at the nursery there. And can we store cases of water on the balcony? Sure. I mean, there's no reason you can't keep it in your room either, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not going to fly away, obviously, but I would just keep it in your room personally. But yeah, you can do that too. Totally fine. Sharon Stockman with the super chat and suffering from COVID. Sharon, hope you're feeling better. Thank you so much for the super chat. What change did they make to Diamond Plus? So that is on RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com as well. For Diamond Plus only, you can no longer access the concierge lounge. Now, before you all freak out about this, let's be realistic. Let's be practical. Let's think about this for a second. Number one, and I'm not going to mince me. I'm not here to defend Royal Caribbean. It is a reduction in benefits. There's no denying that. But the reality is, this was only applied to ships that had a concierge lounge and not a suite lounge, of which there are about, I think, 11 or 12 that are left. Royal Caribbean had been systematically removing them anyway with new ships and refurbishments. So there was only it was really the Vision class, some Radiance class ships and the Quantum class ships that still had it. But more to the point, even while this policy was still in place over the last year and a half, because of overcrowding, they would limit the Diamond members anyway. So practically speaking, it wasn't probably a benefit you would have had an easy opportunity to take advantage of, but it's still a reduction in benefits. I'm not here to tell you that that's, right or wrong. Obviously, I don't think anybody here thinks, oh, good, less benefits, that's good. But in the grand scheme of benefits, this was not what I would consider a third rail benefit. This is not a benefit that I would say wow, this is a big deal. This is not a core competency of benefits. I'm sure that people think that I'm crazy and you're all yelling at me, which is fine. But I think in the grand scheme of things, try to keep it perspective. There are bigger problems probably to be upset about with Royal Caribbean than this one, but it is still a cut. And on principle, I understand that frustration. As a Diamond Plus member myself, I think I took advantage of this particular benefit like once or twice, but hey, it was nice to be able to have that. Jeff Rains coming in with an epic super chat, my dude. Here for a double Tony Diaz slap. Woo! Jeff Rains, what a legend. See you guys next week. My dude, thank you so much. Way too generous there, Jeff. Holy moly. The good news is I don't slap Tony when you see him next week, but I will give Tony an extra big hug for this one, Jeff. Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate that. Holy moly. Can't wait to cruise with you again. It's going to be awesome. Yes. Oh. Fernando wants to know, when your cruise goes to Cozumel or Costa Maya, do you need to switch U.S. currency to their currency? Nope. Everybody takes U.S. dollars there. The only reason you'd want to is for a better exchange rate, but it really doesn't matter, Fernando. I would not do that. I wouldn't waste your time. U.S. dollars, totally acceptable everywhere there. Tim Walton, 771, thank you for the super chat. Can BOGO Diamond Plus specially be used with friends? Yes, I've used this many times. So as a Diamond Plus guest, you get a buy one, get one at a specialty restaurant. And I've been able to use that with other people as well, Tim. Yep, 100%, no problem. Jamie wants an travel insurance company. I think travel insurance, right? You're not looking for home insurance or your car insurance warranty, because that's going to expire, Jamie. Can I call you about that? Just kidding. For travel insurance, there's a lot of companies out there. And Jamie, I don't want you to take my recommendation as gospel. I want you to take it as an option, okay? Because like all insurance, whether it's car insurance or your home insurance, there's different companies are better for people for a variety of reasons, right? Now, I use personally Allianz travel insurance, and all the staff here at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com do as well. They have a good reputation, but that isn't to say that they're like, you should just blindly just buy Allianz. I don't think I would go quite that far, but I just want to make that crystal clear there. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Deji? On what day can you check in for any given cruise? Up to 45 days before you're sailing. Katanji, thank you for the super. Kalanji, I'm so sorry. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, man, thanks for all your professional insight on cruising 6 days until Allure of the Sea. So you're going on Allure in 6 days. We're going on Wonder of the Seas in 6 days. That is awesome. Yes. Love it. Takaya, if I said that right. Yeah. What activities are free on Quantum Class ships? Interested in bumper cars, iFly, and North Star? Are these free? Yes, there's opportunities to do all of those things for free. There are also paid opportunities as well. So for iFly and North Star, bumper cars are free. There's a number of activities that are included with your cruise. Honestly, a lot of the activities in the Seaplex are included, whether it is volleyball or soccer or badminton or dodgeball, things like that. But the pools are obviously included as well. A really good idea might be to look at a past cruise compass from the ship you happen to be going on, and then you can see it'll show you a little dollar icon or not, if it's included or not. So yeah. Darnell says, if somebody peer pressures you to take multiple tequila shots, Josh, what do you do? If you, Darnell, I want to see you during the cruise. Maybe you sit one out or two just to see how it goes at first there. Sandy wants to know, why on your first cruise you don't get a number for your Crown and Anchor member? It's afterwards. It's pre-registered. You could actually, believe it or not, Sandy, before your cruise, you can sign up for Crown and Anchor Society, even though you've never taken a sailing before. It's called, you'll be pre-gold as the status. One of my very good friends, Brandon Owen, is still pre-gold. But you can get that number and then be set up and good to go. But it doesn't really matter, Sandy, because after you take your first cruise, because your first sailing, you don't have any benefits because you're brand new. But after that point, you can always set up your account and you'll get credit for that sailing. So I think the reason why is just Royal thinks like there's not really that much of an impetus to get you set up beforehand, but you can certainly do so whether you like to or not. But the bottom line is, moving forward, you'll be set for your next sailing. Let me get a drink of water here. Jumpman, quick thoughts on Wonder of the Seas. Love it. Was just on Wonder of the Seas for my third time, which there over the weekend for the the christening ceremony. A wonderful ship. When it comes to cruise ships in general, it's hard to go wrong with a new cruise ship, right? It's just the latest and greatest the cruise line has to offer. So it's a wonderful ship, no pun intended there. I really, really like it quite a bit. We had a great time. And we're going back in to just to prove it. We're going back on Wonder of the Seas, not only in 6 days, but also in March for my kids' spring break. So I'm literally putting my money where my mouth is on this one. We have a first-time cruiser question from Bibash. Bibash. First time on a cruise, how do you pay tips? Should I carry cash or will card work? Good question. So, number one, when you book your cruise, you'll have gratuities that are automatic for your sailing. You're either going to get them accrued every day of your sailing via your SeaPass card, or you can prepay them before the cruise. This covers your stateroom attendant as well as your dining room staff. But everything else is really automatic. If you order a drink, if you go to a restaurant, the gratuity is automatically baked in there. You will see that on the bottom of the receipt. So you don't have to carry cash. The only reason you'd want to carry cash for gratuities would be, at least on board the ship, would be if you want to tip on top of that. So, you order a drink, there's an automatic gratuity. You want to give the server $1, extra, you can do so. But that's at your discretion. Really, I would say for cash for gratuities, you're really talking about off the ship, right? For shore excursions, taxis, things like that. But on board, everything's digital. You're good to go there. Howie Cruz, what's going on? Welcome. Zylak wants to know, do I have a good travel agent? I do. MEI Travel. They're a sponsor of RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Full disclosure, but I absolutely love what they do. I've been using them even before they were a sponsor, and I still send all my family members to them. So I think that's all you need to know. Good tea, nice house. Thank you for the super chat. When Allure goes into dry dock, will there be a likelihood it will come out looking like Wonder This is the new pool deck and windjammers? I don't know about the windjammer, but I think there is a likelihood for a amplification because that won't happen until I believe 2025 at this point, at the earliest. So I would say there's a decent chance, especially where things are going right now. The answer, obviously, let me be very clear about this. Nobody knows yet what to expect. Nothing's been announced, so I just want to make this very, very clear. But I do think there is a good chance that if you look to 3 years from now, almost 2 years from now, 3 years from now, that they're going to want to resume those programs. And we know that for a fact because Royal Caribbean has said they want to resume those programs. And certainly with Allure, which missed out on her amplification along with other ships as well during 2020, it would make total sense that they would want to do that as well. So, Gerald wants to know, is it true you got to sail with the great Billy Hirsch recently? No, it's actually not true. I just got a chance to sail with Billy Hirsch. Not great, just Billy, but yes. Let's see. Svetlana wants to know, is it possible to upload all the information prior to check-in so that you only select the time when check-in is open and not lose time for info upload? Yes. Only through the Royal Caribbean app, Svetlana. So if you go to the website, it won't let you do this. But if you do it via the Royal Caribbean app on your phone, you could absolutely do this. I do this every single time, actually, myself. I do the check-in time, and then I come back like weeks later and actually do the proper check-in. So Ron Ladowski wants to know, is the peanut butter old-fashioned in the mason jar as good as I've heard? Brother, let me tell you a story. There was a man named Matt, and Matt went on Wonder of the Seas in March and loved the peanut butter old-fashioned. But Matt thought, after months away from the ship, maybe it wasn't as good as he remembered. Perhaps it just didn't. It was all hype, and it was all the euphoria with the new ship, and maybe it doesn't add up. Then Matt went back on Wonder of the Seas. And Matt can tell you for a fact, it is absolutely better than you've heard. It's really, really good. Masked Collector, Anthem or Allure? Why? Good question. I would pick whatever's cheaper, honestly. Or the itinerary. I mean, really, there's compelling reasons for both. And when it comes to a situation like this, in which you don't have like a hard and fast preference, like, neither ship has water slides. There's advantages to both ships. But what I would look at it, the way I would look at a Mass Collector is I would say, okay, I would look at the itinerary and look at the price. And if one jumps out to you over the other, then go for it that way. Because you're really talking about, it's not like, oh, for obvious reasons, we must go with this ship. I look at pricing and things, what makes the most sense right there. Let's see here. Torika, can you bring snacks like meat sticks, jerky on board? As long as it's pre-packaged, yes. So if you want to snap into a Slim Jim, you can do that because Slim Jims are pre-packaged. But you cannot bring like a stick with meat on and be like, hello, everybody. That's not going to be allowed. Also, when you arrive at port of call, can you bring more wine and snacks on board? You can. The wine will be confiscated, but they'll give it back to you at the end of the cruise. And then the snacks, obviously, just like embarkation, they need to be prepackaged. So, let's see here. TMS $2.99. Must use on Odyssey. Going on a group of 12. You need to go to spend some time. If you're going to go to a bar, spend some time in Playmakers. In the Seaflox is absolutely amazing. I love that space. Really, really good. Say hi to Jessica in Playmakers. She is the best server on that ship. Wonderful person. In addition to that, Zone Zero. It's a virtual reality experience. It costs money. TMS $2.99. Trust me when I tell you it's worth the money. Do that. That's an absolute must-do on there. So Cheryl wants to know, are there still diamond lounges on Harmony of the Seas? Heck yeah, there are. Absolutely. No ship is losing their diamond lounges. Let's see. We have a super chat coming in from Pork Chop and Biscuit. We may arrive a little early in Galveston. At what point does your check-in time matter? Meaning, where exactly will be checked? Parking, lobby, security, counter. Ooh, good question. Outside the building. So when you park or drop off your luggage, nobody cares. But when you get to walk into the building, before you walk into the building, that's when they'll ask you when your check-in time is. And listen, when it comes to that, you may end up sitting around waiting. You never know. But that is when they'll ask you about that. So. Jason Kirkpatrick. We booked a cabana at Chill Island. How much should I plan on tipping the cabana attendant? There isn't a right or wrong answer here. Whatever you're comfortable with, size of your party, how demanding you are with the attendant, like how many requests are you doing? How much are they hustling for you? There's a lot of, there is not a cut and dry number, Jason. And honestly, even if it were me, and I've done many cabanas, I don't always tip the same amount. It truly depends on the person there. Chase wants to know, it's all about gratuities today. Can I still pay for gratuity ahead of time if I forgot to include it when I initially booked? Yes. Just call your travel agent and ask them to prepay your gratuities. You should be good to go. Thoughts on Anthem of the Seas? Wonderful ship. Great ship. I think you'll like it. Jeff wants to know, do you think shared tables for dinner is gone for good? No, it's been back already, my friend. It's definitely still a thing. They brought it back. You're good to go. Let's see here. Next question. I love the easy questions, guys. Yes or no questions. Fantastic. I think I missed Jennifer Kellen from MEI Travel. By the way, if Jennifer is here, Jennifer, can I just say we missed you last weekend? Another super chat coming in from Tio Rico. Thank you, Tio. Do an enchantment repositioning to the Med in April. Can you bring stacks? Oh, we already answered this question. Well, I answered your question already, but thank you for the super chat, buddy. I really appreciate that. Thank you. But I think you have your answer based on it has not changed since before then. We have a lot of super chats coming in here. So let's go right to the super chats, guys. Appreciate your generosity. KB in the UK. Hi, Matt. Is the Crown and Anchor Lounge the same thing as the Concierge Lounge? No. Concierge, this is very confusing. So let's go back 20 years ago. Back then, there was a Diamond Lounge, which is the Crown and Anchor Lounge. So it's the Diamond Lounge for Diamond members. And the Concierge Lounge is what we now call a Suite Lounge. It's very confusing. But now, on most ships, there is the Concierge Lounge has been replaced by a Suite Lounge. So the Concierge Lounge is another name for Suite Lounge. And that's the difference as it relates to the change today. But they're not, the Diamond Lounge has not changed at all. They're two different venues together. It can get very confusing when you're talking about Suite Lounge or Concierge Lounge, but yeah. Happy holidays. I didn't mean to click on your comment, but 12 more days to Wonder of the Seas. Awesome. That means you're excited for me to get off the ship because your cruise is right after the Royal Caribbean Blog group cruise. Let's see here. Charlie wants to know. Let me get a drink of water, Charlie, and I'll answer your question. Is it possible for a single person to book a 2-guest hut? I think you mean Cabana, for the same price as 2 persons. No. You don't do that, Charlie. Don't do it. When you book a cabana, your hut we're talking about, just book it for 1 person. You don't need to. If you put in 2, then you're going to book 2 cabanas. Don't do that. Just put in 1. You're good to go. Lauren wants to know any crystal ball idea when they'll release 2024 summer itineraries? Yes, this week, Lauren. Probably Wednesday, maybe Thursday, but right around there. Some point between today and Friday. Let's put it that way. Hey, I don't know if didn't I just answer this question? Was it from you, KB? No. I just get busy on I didn't answer the second part, so we'll answer this part. Does it get busy on Symphony and is it used during the day for anything? No, it's just the I'm not even sure. Are you talking about the Concierge Lounge now? It's just a sweet lounge. Just like the Diamond Lounge, it's busiest in the evening time. Otherwise, just kind of a come as you go type experience right there. Amberly says, can you let people know if they have an allergy other than just filling out the disability form? They should talk to you ahead of time of staff of an incident. Actually, Amberly, every single meal you go to, the waiter will ask you, are there any allergies? Every single meal. So to your point, yes, they do that. And that's an excellent point. See, Soto, I went on Odyssey 2 weeks ago. It was my first cruise. It was awesome. Which cruise ship should I take next? An Oasis class ship. Wonder, Harmony, Oasis. Those are great ships to go on. So definitely one of those things right there. We have another question. It is from Asimo3089 Roblox. Biggest fan. Oh, shucks. Your thoughts on Harmony? Love it. Wonderful ship. Because of the boardwalk in Central Park, will the inside of the ship still be big with lots of interior? Oh, yeah. Plenty to do. You're going to love Harmony of the Seas. It used to be my favorite ship until Wonder came out. So it's really, really good. Scotty5000 says, please tell me I made a great decision on Coco Beach Club. Couldn't beat $80 for it. Dude, you got an amazing price. So yes, you got, like, that is money well spent, my friend. Well spent. Jennifer Kelm said from MEI Travel, wish I was there. Long flight for a 2-nighter. Wait a minute. Are you saying I'm not worth a long flight? Is that what you're trying to say? Oh, I'm insulted. No, I wish you were there, though. I mean, you could have booked another cruise after that, back to back, side to side, right? Hanging out at Dan Wanderman's house. I mean, there's lots of options for you. My advice for Oasis of the Seas: book it. Book it. Go on it. You will love it. It's a wonderful ship. See all the shows. I mean, my serious answer to you: see all the shows. That's really important. Sharon Stockman with another epic super chat. Woo! Just an FYI, 2 lunches at Hooked on Symphony. Recommended Hooked for anyone who likes seafood. My husband and I loved it. Best clam chowder we've had in a long time. Mussels were great, as well as the lobster roll. Sharon's not going to like my video on Thursday. But that being said, Sharon, I am so glad to hear you had an awesome time on there. And listen, this is all you need to know, Barry. I love hearing these personal recommendations. So that is fantastic. KB wants to know, does the Crown and Anchor Lounge get busy? Oh, sorry, KB. I'm like, Kevin, I'm like 2 minutes behind you on everything here, but I answered your question already, but just want to make sure I got to that because I know I neglected it in the first part. Mickey P, thank you for the super chat. Do you recommend carrying your passport into port? Yes, I carry my passport every time I go into port, except for Labadee and CocoCay. I think there's no point. You're not getting left behind over there. But when I go to Cozumel, Costa Maya, Freeport, Nassau, always. And the reason is, same reason something they ingrained in me in the Boy Scouts: always be prepared. Personal responsibility, have it just in case. So what if you lose it? What if I lose my cash? What if I lose my phone? What if I lose my kids? I mean, you can't think that way. You got to be responsible, and you have to take certain precautions, and I do. But to me, it's the responsible thing to do right there. So, MLife Travel wants to know, how do you become a part of a Royal Caribbean Blog group? So the group cruises, we have a list of them at royalcaribbeanblog.com/events. royalcaribbeanblog.com/events. And all you have to do is book the cruise and then book it with our travel partners at MEI Travel. That's really pretty simple there. Richard Huddle, I hope I said that right. Thank you for the super chat. Woo! Going on Freedom in April. My mom has trouble walking. So I was wondering what's the best area for activities would be where she doesn't need to go very far. The pool deck is a hub. I would say there's 2 places. You're really talking about the pool deck, or you're talking about the Royal Promenade. And the Royal Promenade, Cafe Promenade, is centrally located. There's plenty of comfortable chairs there. That's a great spot, or even the pub for that matter. If you're on the pool deck, I would just pick a spot in the shade or in the sun, depending on what she prefers, and that'd be a good spot. Because those 2 decks are really, I think, you're closest to what's happening. And in most cases, Richard, during the daytime, I think it's the pool deck. In the evening, it's the promenade. So, yeah. Nathan wants to know, can you please explain Royal Caribbean's logic when it comes to ship placement? I have seen anywhere from a Vision class to Freedom class ship based in San Juan over winter. Does demand flex that much? Essentially, Nathan, what they're, and I have as much insight as you do on this. I don't have inside information. But my understanding of the deployments, this is what we're talking about, has to do primarily with, I think, a couple factors. Number one, where do other ships have to be? So as an example, they might say, well, we're going to keep, our Wonder of the Seas in Port Canaveral because we want our newest ship right out of Florida, convenient, blah, blah, blah. But also it's about, what kind of price they command. And usually cruises out of San Juan have less of a price on average than cruises from other ports. So they might put older hardware in their older ships because those ships command a lower price to begin with. So it's a better fit as opposed to putting a brand new ship in San Juan that would kind of eat at the profitability of that ship. It also has to do with demand, quite frankly, Nathan. So they're going to look at the market, look at past performance, and say, okay, was it selling like hotcakes? If it is, then we need to put a bigger ship in there. But if it's been like meh or just average, okay, maybe we don't. So there's a lot of like different factors all around. Let's see here. Matt wants to know, is the steak at the CocoCay Beach Club really all it's cracking up to be? If it isn't, my wife will fillet me. But Matt, I can tell you for a fact, 100%, it is amazing. I will even go one step further, Matt. I will say the filet mignon at the CocoCay Beach Club is the best filet I have had on any Royal Caribbean cruise ship. It's better than Chops, better than 150 Central Park, Hooked, all those places. It is the best Royal Caribbean steak right now. It's really good. Scott wants to know, you never recommend mention Symphony as a choice to take. Is there a reason? No, I just don't think about it. But they're all good. The Oasis class, Scott, when people ask their recommendations and I just give Oasis class recommendations, they're interchangeable. Whether it's Oasis, Symphony, Harmony, Wonder, honestly, don't read anything into that other than the fact that I'm recommending an Oasis class ship. Unless there's a good reason, like I might, the person's asking a question that has a feature that's only on maybe Oasis or Wonder, like, oh, I really love country music. Well, then the Mason Jar Bar on Wonder would be the place to go, right? Other than that, they're all interchangeable. The Oasis class, just they're fantastic. So please don't read anything into those comments more than what they are. But no, I do. There's no problem with Symphony or any cruise ship in the fleet. Let's see here. Next question. Let's see here. Joe G Day 409 was on Enchantment. They don't allow beverages in the pool. It was a big deal to me. No any other ships that don't allow this. All of them. That is the policy across the fleet. So you can't be like in the pool with a drink on the cruise ship. Why? Because people spill them all the time. Whether you do or not doesn't matter. That's the policy. Now it gets kind of like fuzzy when you're on the side of the pool. Like, you know how the pool has like a lip, like an elevated like step, if you will. Like if you're sitting there and the drink is not physically in the pool, like that's sometimes allowed. But when you're actually in the pool, that's Royal Caribbean's policy right there. So Aldrina booked the Royal Caribbean Blog Group cruise on Icon of the Seas. Nice. Aldrina, give your MEI travel agent a shout out here. That would be that's fantastic right there. Let's see here. David says, if you have booked a cruise but want to change the ship and dates, will Royal Caribbean let you change without charge? Only if you booked a refundable cruise fare. If you book non-refundable, the answer is no. I mean, they'll let you'll get charged. There'll be a penalty for that. So, yeah. We got some super chats to catch up on. Starting off with Silveris 1. Thank you for the super chat. Just came back from Symphony. Thanks for the advice. The new menu is disjointed. Indian on the menu every night. Without an appetizer, change it back. Sorry to hear that, my friend. I'm looking forward to trying and thank you for the feedback. I'm looking forward to trying out the new menu on Symphony this season. Now, of course, I love Indian food. So, boy, are you barking up the wrong tree with me personally. But that's personal preference. The example I always give when it comes to food, because it's so subjective, is I use broccoli. So I want, if you love broccoli, type love in chat. If you hate broccoli, type, I hope you don't get banned from YouTube. Say no in chat. Don't type hate, because I wonder if YouTube will flag you on that one. So love or no, yes or no, whatever you want to write there. And what you're going to find is like half the chat likes broccoli and half the chat hates broccoli. So what that means, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is one person's I hate that food or I don't care for that food is another person's I love that food. This is the nature of menus in general. My hope would be, Silveris, that there's other things on the menu, whether it's an appetizer or an entree, that you could get that would be okay. And don't forget, of course, you have other items. The menu changes daily. So I appreciate the feedback. I'm not discounting your feedback. I just want to show that obviously there's a lot of opinions on the new menus there. Ultimately, for me, I want to try the new menu myself before I render judgment on it, because sitting here on the internet, it's very easy to pass judgment on things without actually experiencing them myself. Now, you experience this, so it's different. So I'm waiting to see it myself. DFW Hannah, thank you for the super chat. One of our ports got dropped. Woo! So now we're staying in Cozumel 2 days in a row. That's a good thing, if you ask me. Will we have to board at the end of the first day and then be allowed to get off again that morning? What should happen, Hannah, should is the key word, is you're gonna have a floating hotel. You can come and go as you please. I don't recall there being a curfew in overnight cruises otherwise. So as long as there's not, you can come and go as you please, which means, Hannah, you dock at, let's say you dock at 9 a.m. You can come back to the ship at 3, come back to the ship at 6. You can go out again at 9 o'clock. If you want to, at 2 a.m., come back. I don't know why you'd want to, but you could do those things. The only time I've ever seen a actual, like, let's call it a curfew, like, was when we were on Adventure of the Seas in June 2021, when cruises first restarted. Actually, that wasn't 2 days in a row. We went out to sea. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Other than CocoCay, which doesn't have night lighting, in cities like places like Bermuda and other places, they do overnights all the time. That you just have a floating hotel, which is really nice. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. What specialty restaurants are a must do on Brilliance? Giovanni's or Izumi. Either one is really, really good. Rodolfo, thank you for the super chat. My wife likes to bake. Can we bring in homemade desserts if it's sealed at home? Probably not. They say it's supposed to be prepackaged foods. This isn't like a bag of M&Ms, not your wife's food. No offense to your wife. And there'll be plenty of food on board. You don't need to bring that on there, and plenty of desserts. So the answer is probably not. So I just want to keep it real with you. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. I, however, will take your wife's pre-baked goods. So feel free to bring those over. Wu-Tang Life wants to know, do roller coaster have a full gym with equipment, heavy free weights, and bars for bodybuilding? Yes. I don't know about yes, I mean, they do. Boy, this just shows you. I'm about to demonstrate how much of a non-gym rat I am. You're talking about, like, the bar, the dumbbells, and dumbbells are like these things, right? But you mean like yeah. Anyway, yes, they do. Wu-Tang Life, to exemplify that, rather than my absolutely terrible explanation, watch any of our cruise tour videos. We show you the fitness center, and you can see exactly what's available over there. Let's see here. Lucho wants to know, when do you think Royal Caribbean will announce a new class of ships? Well, considering that they're working right now on a new class of ships, the Icon class, I think it'll be a couple of more years before we really cross that bridge. So I would say somewhere in the ballpark of, I'm just guessing here, 2, 3, 4 years from now, something like that. Let's see here. Yeah, and I'm now seeing all the yeses and nos and loves and what have you in the chat about broccoli. And Tom is impartial. So what does that mean, Tom? Hello, by the way. Impartial means you're not going to judge it. you're unbiased, and I think you meant you don't care either way. You're indifferent to it, but anyway. Scary, thank you for the super chat. Is it true that the chat feature on the Royal Caribbean app will be free now? Great question. So the answer is yes, but this is not the first time Royal Caribbean has promised the chat feature to be free and then it did not end up being free. So last week, Royal Caribbean CEO President Michael Bailey said that beginning January 1, it will be free. This is not the first time that Michael Bailey said the chat feature will be free, and it didn't end up being free. Now, he gave a date this time, which I don't know if that really has any meaning, but theoretically, it will be free beginning in January. But I don't know that I would place money on that. But hey, you never know. I mean, maybe they'll figure it out. So, but theoretically, it should become free beginning in January, which is great. Julie booked a junior suite guarantee on Harmony. There's been no suites available for months, about 60 days out. What happens if no one cancels? Don't forget, it's a balcony. It's a guarantee of at least a junior suite. You actually could move up from there, get a higher category. But they'll get your room. I mean, they give you a guarantee. Listen, Julie, I know what you're thinking. Well, Matt, how can there's a mad method to their madness when it comes to this. You're not the first person to go about it. And also part of it, Julie, also a lot of people cancel. You'd be surprised how many people cancel cruises even right before the sailing. So, did you mention? Let me see, Julie. Did you mention? You didn't say where it is. Oh, you're 60 days out, so you're still 2 months away. Hopefully, I mean, you're gonna get an answer soon because usually your cabin gets assigned before then. But I would imagine they're gonna figure it out. I just don't have it. I can't like what I can't do because I don't know is I can't say, oh, Julie, it'll be this or that, or here's why. It's just the guarantee stuff just does things right there. So yeah. Let's see here. Next question is from Veronica. I saw on the new menu for dining room and the new choices look great. I'm glad to see my. Oh, that wasn't a question, but hey, sorry, Veronica. I mean, not sorry. I'm glad you. Thank you for sharing your opinion there, Veronica. Let's see here. Next question is from ZCDJ12. If my minor child goes on a cruise independently of me, do I get Crown Niagara Nights? Nope. It's just like it is just like frequent flyer miles, right? Whoever goes on the trip actually gets the credit, the miles, whatever you want to look at it that way. So the answer is no on that. Sorry. Can't farm your kid out for points. CRD. Do you need to make reservations for shows on one of these before the sailing date or on the boarding day? They've opened it up now, beginning with December sailings, to make it before the cruise. So CRD, you should plan to make it before the cruise via the cruise planner website. That would definitely be the right way about it. You're impartial. Don't love it. Don't hate it. Got it. Yeah. Okay. I'll look up the dictionary definition. I think you mean you're you're agnostic. You believe broccoli exists, but you're not sure which broccoli you like. Let's see here. Timothy, thank you for the super chat, buddy. What are some fun things for a 7-9-year-old to do on Allure? Very different offerings from Independence, slides, skypad, etc. I mean, first of all, the pool deck is still a lot of fun for the kids. I think they'll enjoy that, whether it's the zip line, the rock climbing wall, sports court, the flow rider. Some really fun things to do there. You've also got the activities. Not only you have mini golf on board. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. The pool deck, as I mentioned. There isn't a splashaway bay, but there is the H2O zone, which is a aqua park on there. You're gonna have activity. First of all, Adventure Ocean, plenty of activities over there. You're gonna have activities during the daytime. The cruise cup is a really good idea, Timothy. Actually, here's a better answer for you, maybe. Better quantifier is to go to read a past cruise compass from Allure of the Seas, and you get a better sense of the activities on board the ship. I mean, basically, what we're talking about, there's no water slides, but they have a lot of other things that are there. And I think you'll find quite a number of activities. They will not be bored. I think you'll have an awesome time on board. Let's see here. Adroso. If I book at next cruise on a U.S. sailing and an Aussie, am I subject to U.S. prices and terms or Aussie ones? Oh, I see what you're asking. So traditionally, yeah, I'm not sure I know the answer to this one. Like if you because when you book it at home as an Australian, you book in Australian dollars because you're booking it through royalcaribbean.com.au or whatever, right? Co.au, whatever that is. But if you book it like Adroso, if you worked with our travel agent friends at MEI Travel, they'd have to book you in US dollars. So how would that work? I don't know. Do any of our Australian friends know? I am not sure. I would assume if you book it on a if you're on an Australian sailing, like your cruise goes out of Brisbane or goes out of Sydney, I got to imagine it's the Australian rules. But if you're over here in the US or in Europe or something like that, it might not be. Good question. I'm not sure on that one. Maybe one of our friends knows in the chat. Don Rock, thank you for the epic super chat, buddy. Woo! I don't see a message here from Don Rock, but I'm going to look for it. Sometimes they get disconnected here. So I'm looking. And Don, if it's just a very generous super chat, well, then I appreciate you, friend. I don't see a message here, but thank you, my friend. Generosity. Very, very kind. Sarah is going on Oasis of the Seas next month. We have 3 rooms with linked reservations. We'll be able to check in everyone, all 3. Yes, once rooms are checked in, you should already see that, Sarah. When you go to the app, you should see once you have it linked in here, you'll see you'll see your reservation and then your kids' reservations or whatever it is over there. But I've been able to see that once they're linked together. That is in the app. The worst case, Sarah, and you can do this right now again just to prove it. If you don't see it, that's okay. I want you now to go into at the bottom, like when you see when you go in the app and you see all your list of sailings. At the bottom, there's another option. It says, "Don't see your cruise? Click here," something to that effect. Click on that. Add in. You're gonna need the reservation number and the last name, and then you should be able to do that. So maybe not from linking automatically, although a lot of times that does work. You should see people once you do that other thing I said. Cody wants to know, can book the photo package online? Can I get prints for on board as part of that? Yes or no? It depends which one you got. Last I checked, I thought there was like a digital one and a print one. You'd have to look at which one you purchased, quite frankly. I can't give you a yes or no answer on that because I don't know which one you bought. Brian Booth, thank you for the super chat. Been watching your channel for many years. Thank you. Thanks for all your helpful advice, content, etc. Oh, nice. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. Very, very kind of you. Thank you, my friend. Oh, here's Doc Rock's message from earlier. First time cruiser here. I noticed that a lot of the onboard shore excursions are sold out online. They're really sold out, or they just sold online. Leaving 12 days on Odyssey. Good question. The answer is I don't know. It could be both, quite frankly. Have I seen it be both? Yes. One change that Royal Caribbean made in the last month or two was to start opening up pre-cruise reservations again for Quantum and Oasis class ships, of which Odyssey is a Quantum class ship. And I suspect that's probably the case. Now, shore excursions are a different story, and shore excursions can really range. So, a couple things, Doc Rock. Number one, if there's a tour that you want to, you're looking at the cruise planner and you're like, I'd really love to book this shore excursion, but it's not available. My advice to you is on day one of the cruise, when you get on board, go to the shore excursion desk, ask about it again. Maybe it'll be available. If it's not, say, hey, can I be put on a wait list for that? In some cases, people cancel. In other cases, they call the call the operator, the tour operator, like, hey, we've got 10 people who want to do this tour. Can we add them on there? So that's definitely a possibility. As for the activities, obviously when you get on board the ship, check. Go on the first thing you want to do is connect to the Royal Caribbean Wi-Fi, then open up the Royal Caribbean app and see if there's new availability. If there's not, there's a couple things. Number one, if it's a show, there's always a standby line, and usually the standby line gets in because people make reservations and they don't show up there. But I would definitely do that as a go-to. If you're looking at things like North Star or Zone Zero, things that may or may not have a cost, but are much more limited capacity in that regard, your best, this is going to be more hit or miss, and you want to go talk to the staff on board about what your options are in that. Sometimes it may not be available, but you never know. I just can't promise you that. I'm trying not to get into nobody knows. It won't know until you get on board, but it could be both is really the answer. Let's see here. Hannah joined late. Do you have any updates on the Symphony main dining room? Yes. It's on the homepage of RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. And I'm telling you that, Hannah, not just to get an extra click out of you, although that's not a bad idea anyway. But truly, there's much more context in there. But the new menus are going to go live in the fleet beginning in January, Hannah. So it may not be the menus that you've seen. They're still working on the themes and the exact items. But the new menus will go forward beginning in January. Lisa, in Port Canaveral, are we able to connect ship to Wi-Fi to reserve as restaurants for the dine package, or do you have to physically be on the ship? I mean, you could if the signal reached you, but I don't think in practice it actually reaches you. Unless you're like maybe in the gangway, like once you get a couple feet off, like away from the ship, it quickly degrades from there. But theoretically, if you were able to, you might be able to. I do remember though, Lisa, when I've done back-to-back cruises, right? You might think, well, I have an advantage because I'm on the ship already. But like the Wi-Fi system before boarding begins, like doesn't reset yet. And you might not be able to. But it's worth a try. But I wouldn't bank on that is really my point. Let's see here. Bill says, I love that COVID created diamond and up drink vouchers. Do you think this will be permanent? Yes. Royal Caribbean has said so. They have no intention of rolling that back there. KB booked Mayan Princess and Roatan. Is it good? Yes. I've done that. There's a review of it at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. KB, just Google Royal Caribbean blog, Mayan Princess, Roatan. You'll find my full review there. Port is very safe. I mean, no less safe than anywhere else in the Caribbean, quite frankly. But I've been to that place. It's a lovely place. I really like it quite a bit. Next question. Oh, we got a super chat coming in from Mr. Tony Diaz. Tony, thank you. Do you have any connections to make it Friday already? Tony, if you take a really long nap, it could feel like it's Friday already. I mean, you really could just nap through the rest of the week. If anybody can do it, it's you, buddy. But I know I can't wait. It's gonna be this will be the slowest week of your life, Tony. But don't worry. Josh Carruthers will be here before you know it. Give you a hearty hug. Hopefully nobody slaps you. I hope everybody understands that's a joke. I really don't hope people don't walk up to Tony and be like, "Hey, you're Tony Diaz." And I feel really bad about that. Max, thank you for the super chat. Sailing on enchantment in March, and I'm not really a fan of Nassau's port recommendations for that day, either on or off the ship. Well, number one, if you don't like it, stay on board. But number two, what I would look at is a website called resortforaday.com. I really like that website because I just like hanging out in, these resorts and enjoying my time over there. So you might look there as your number one. Number two, maybe just stay on board the ship. It's kind of nice to be able to do that. You get to enjoy the facilities, specifically the pool deck. It's much less crowded there. Number three, if you're like, Matt, I don't want to do like a full, resort for a day. It's a little too much. I don't want to do that, but I want to do something. Get off the ship. Actually, one of my favorite places in Nassau is right when you walk off the ship, right on the water. There's a bar called Pirate Republic Brewery, and it's very easy to get to, and that is worth an hour off the ship to have a drink over there. I really do think it's worthwhile for that. So, Elite wants to know: do you recommend getting the unlimited dining package? Not necessarily. I mean, I will not sit here and tell you everybody you all should get the dining package. I don't think that's prudent or correct. I think that specialty dining in general augments the complimentary dining. It doesn't replace it per se. Now, my wife, as an example, Elite, she hates the main dining room. That's just her. She's a picky eater. She would be the first person to tell you that's the case. So she prefers the cuisines you find in the specialty restaurants, right? Me, I like the specialty restaurant. I'm sorry, I do like specialty restaurants. I like the main dining room, but I also like changing it up a little bit, having sushi here one night, playmakers another day, right? So there's value there. If you've never cruised before, Elite, let's say, I don't know if you cruised before. If you've never cruised before, I would not get the unlimited dining package. What I would do is plan on doing dinner in the dining room and then either book a restaurant or two on your own, or maybe get the 3-night dining package and kind of augment. You have a good mix of both. If that makes sense. Jamie wants to know, do you think a 10:50 a.m. flight out of Lauderdale to return home is pushing it? No, but you're going to have to hustle off the Jamie. You're going to have, my recommendation would be for you to take your own luggage off the ship and plan to walk off in the 7:00 a.m. hour. As soon as the gangways open, you should be there and you'll be fine. But it is not for the lollygaggers, Jamie. It is not for the people who take their time with breakfast and whatnot. Susan Westfall, thank you for the super chat. Am I to assume the menus I currently see in my 2023 cruise will be changing? Yeah, the app. See, I don't know. I don't know what you see in the app, but the app is always subject to change. I wouldn't put much stock in there, Susan. But there will be a new. Let me just make this simple for you, Susan. Royal Caribbean. The menus that we saw when we were on Mariner, those are gone or will be gone beginning in January. Not exactly sure how the rollout will go, but the plan is, and this comes from, by the way, from Royal Caribbean Senior Vice President Food and Beverage, Lincoln D'Souza, that by early February, all the ships should have the new menus on there. So, will they tell me? Zach Glenn. Zach, I feel like I should be throwing some die on the craps table suddenly. Does Cedar X still work? He does, actually. I mean, his mouth, I don't think works very well anymore. But the last time I found D batteries to put in there, I believe they did work, my friend. Is this Fox from MEI Travel in here? Fox, now I know who you are. Good to see you here. I see you're messaging other people there, but good to see you in the chat. We have time for another question too, guys. Then we got to run on out of here. We're running out of time. Almost at the 1 hour mark. Can you believe that? Crazy. Let's see here. Randy is going on Harmony of the Seas for a holiday cruise. Am I allowed to bring my Christmas decorations for my room battery operated? Oh boy. Where's my friend Earl? The answer is you should be able to. The reason why I'm bringing up my friend Earl is last year, for years he did it, and then last year the security was like, you can't do it. And it was a big ordeal. He eventually got it, but it just became an ordeal for no reason. Theoretically, battery operated should be fine, but just know that we've heard of situations in which they said no, and quite frankly, I don't know why. I wish I had a better answer for you there, but probably that be. I mean, if they confiscate it, we'll give it back to the end of the cruise, but it's annoying because it's not really a fire hazard. But yeah, anyway. Let's see here. King Seth wants to know: can you change the dining time in the app? I've done 4 Carnival cruises now. I'm excited my first Royal. It depends on the type of dining you're doing. Like if you're talking about like my time dining or especially restaurants, in most cases, I think in all cases, you're basically canceling and then rebooking, and then you can change the time if that makes sense. next question is from Josephine, who wants to know, what's the difference between paying for one person to have two devices connected or paying for two separate people to have internet? Asking because I saw there's a $30 difference. Yeah. Essentially, the only difference is how many logins you have. So if you buy a two device package, you'll have one login. If you buy two one device packages, you'll have two different logins. That's it. So save $30. Absolutely. You're not missing out on anything. You can share those packages totally fine. The internet package, not the drink package. So hope that makes sense. Hannah says, I got in contact with my MEI travel agent after another Q&A for my cruise symphony in March. How likely is it to get off the wait list for 8 p.m. dining? I've had pretty good luck with that, Hannah. I can't promise you anything, obviously, but every time I've been in a situation in which I've been on the wait list for traditional dining, it's come through. Maybe I have to wait till on board the ship, but it has come through. So hope that makes sense. Let's see. Car wants to know, does through waterpark worth it for 3 children? Depends on the price. I don't think it's worth it for any price. You get it for a good one, less than $100 a day, sure, per person. Teresa, sorry. Hold on, Teresa. I've messed up royal here. Teresa McShane, the Teresa, thank you for the super chat. Came in just time to say good night. Tony, why are you messing it up for Teresa? What'd you do, Tony? Come on now. Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate you. Who should I use to book a cruise? Our friends at MEI Travel would love to book you a cruise. Danny DiMatteo, thank you, Danny, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wu-Tang Life, on the alcohol drink package, do they cut you off for a certain amount of drinks? Only if you're like belligerent. But there isn't it's not like Carnival that has a daily limit in that regard. Just, if you're behaving yourself kind of thing. And we got time for one or two more questions, guys. I'm going to run out of here. Starting with Hayden. What do I think of Ovation of the Seas? I might be going out with family in New Zealand. Love the ship. We have a full cruise ship tour of Ovation of the Seas here on our channel. Check it out, Hayden. You can see for yourself how awesome that ship is. Great ship. And Modern Myths is a tough question. I got a cruise in March. When's the best time to book flights? Right now, they're super expensive. If I were you, I'd book them now. I'm not an airfare expert, and maybe there are some other YouTubers or websites but you're about 4 months out, give or take, right? Maybe 3. March is spring break, dude. It's busy. My other recommendation to you is if you're seeing really bad prices, look for other alternative airports to fly into. So if your cruise goes out of Miami, look at a flight that goes into West Palm Beach or Fort Lauderdale. Maybe it is significantly cheaper to fly into one of those airports and then just take a lift over or rent a car or something like that. So don't assume because, my cruise goes to Miami, I must cruise out of Miami, right? There's a number of airports in South Florida that's, if you're West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami International. Those are the main 3. If your cruise goes out of Port Canaveral, other than Orlando, Tampa, Sanford Airport, which is, sometimes they call it Orlando, but like Allegiant flies into Sanford, just on the north side of Orlando. Melbourne is another option. Jacksonville's pretty far. I wouldn't necessarily recommend, unless you can get it was like dirt cheap. I wouldn't do Jacksonville. But look at alternative airports is another thing. But I generally think booking as far in advance would probably be a really good idea right there. And our last question is from Trav. It's a good question. What should I carry with me on shore excursions? All right, good question. Your CPass card. You're going to need that, number 1. I carry my passport. I think it's worthwhile for that from a personal responsibility standpoint. Cash, that's important. I would not bring every dollar you got. I don't bring my whole wallet. I bring a credit card, and I bring, depends on the tour, obviously, right? But, $100, $200, something like that. And small change would be a really good idea. So that way you could pay for, here's a tip. Oh, I want to buy a soda for my kids. $100 bill is not great because a lot of people can't break $100 bills in these places. So have a little bit of cash. Sunscreen would be very important. If you're doing a water activity like the beach, you want to bring a towel. You also can bring sunscreen, sunglasses, hat, things like that. That's probably the basics. And a bottle of water. A really good idea. So thank you to everybody for hanging out today. And before we get going, I want to say thank you to all of our super chatters today. Thank you so much. Danny DiMatteo, thank you. Teresa, thank you. Susan Westfall, thank you. Max, thank you. Tony, thank you. Brian, thank you. Doc Rock, thank you. Timothy, thank you. Scary, thank you. Rodolfo, thank you. Hannah, thank you. Silveris, thank you. Richard, thank you. Mickey, thank you. Sharon Stockman, thank you so much. KB, thank you. Tio Rico, thank you. Pork Chop and Biscuit, thank you. Good to see nice house. Thank you. Kalaji, thank you. Tim Walton, thank you. Jeff Rains, my dude, thank you so much. Sharon Stockman, thank you again. R. Gravy, thank you. Chris McGuire, thank you. Mike Wolf, thank you. Josh Carruthers, thank you. Texas Mad Hatter, thank you. Ann Whipple, thank you. And Peter Vossenberg, thank you. And holy moly, another super chat coming in from Sharon Stockman right at the end. Woo! Thank you, Sharon. 2 cruisers were pickpocketed on St. Martin, and they got their passport and driver's license. To be fair, that can happen here in the States. I mean, you can't. Obviously, that stinks. I'm not going to mince words about this. But just because that happened to somebody doesn't mean it's going to happen to you, and doesn't mean that I take back my advice there. Let me put it this way, Sharon. I'm going to use this, and this, maybe you don't agree with this analogy, but I'll throw this out there anyway. Perhaps whatever in your hometown, I'm sure there is a store, whether it's Walmart or your grocery store, whatever, that has been robbed at some point, whether it was this year, last month, whatever. Does that stop you from going to those places? No, of course not. No. Now, is the United States the same as that? No, of course not. But crime happens everywhere. My point is, just because it happened to somebody somewhere doesn't mean that it's going to happen to you, or it's indicative of the experience you should expect. So, would I be vigilant? Yeah. When I travel with my passport, I keep it in my front pocket of my pants. I don't put it away in other places. You know, when you're in the ocean and you're doing your thing, you know, we make sure they're not in plain sight. We zip them up. We were always within, vision of what our stuff is. Usually somebody's at the chair anyway. We take proper precautions, right? But there are sometimes things happen, unfortunately, and it is what it is. But I appreciate your generosity. It's a good point, and I appreciate you as always, Sharon. Thank you. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us here today. Really appreciate you. Next week, we will be live from Wonder of the Seas. Now, as you all know, I really hate live broadcasts from the cruise ships because the internet just never is as good as it is at home. But I will make sure we make it happen. It'll be a perfect day at CocoCay. I'm not sure yet if it'll be at our same time or earlier in the day. I'll have to work on that. But suffice to say, we'll have a live broadcast. So make sure your notifications are on. I know that Danny DiMatteo has them on and Sharon Stockman has them on. But make sure your notifications are on. And not only the subscribe button, but that little bell icon. So that way YouTube lets you know when we're live. Anyway, have a great week, everybody. Stay safe out there. Do something fun. That's always important as well. And we'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.